What's going on, guys? My name is Eldeniro and welcome to episode 6 of my Leicester City career mode on FIFA 15. We're starting this episode off with some action at St James's Park against Newcastle United, which is always going to be a tough fixture because despite their tendency to not do very well in real life, most of that is down to Alan Pardew, and in actual fact they do have a pretty good team whatever way you look at it. Like, they've got a solid enough midfield, I think, and a decent enough defence in terms of career mode teams as well, and they're always going to be just one of those teams that are going to be difficult to play, especially away from home when they're a fairly established Premier League club despite their brief stint in the Championship a few years ago. But they started off strongly with a Gutierrez shot that went wide in the 5th minute. And I have a question for you guys early on in this episode that I have asked a couple of times before on my channel, but that shouldn't deter you from answering it anyway. Basically, like, over the last week I've gained 1,000 subscribers and we're now on 27k, so thank you guys very much for that. It was only a month ago I was on 25k, so it's just awesome. Like, I really do appreciate it. But basically, new subscribers and old subscribers, I want to know, what team do you support? Because I fucking love the diversity of all the comments that I get. I asked you guys recently where you were watching this in the world, and the diversity of the regions from which people are watching is unbelievable. So yeah, what team do you support? That's always an interesting one, I think. I support Celtic, for anybody wondering, but I do have a soft spot for Tottenham and also Leicester City. CM De Jong thought that he made it 2-0 here in the 37th minute, but his shot was actually offside. And again, when it went to the replay, it was quite inconclusive. It's very hard to tell if a player is offside or not because there's no red line anymore. But other than that, we're chasing this game because Cabella scored, or Cabella, his name would be Cabella, but the English commentators call him Cabella, so I'm not sure, but Remy Cabella scored in the 32nd minute, and this game was all Newcastle, and they came on the attack again in the 69th minute as Cisse's header goes wide. Then we brought on Ujoa, or Ujoa, I'm going to call him Ujoa because that's what people tend to call him, but his header just went over in the 77th minute, and he'd get another chance towards the end of the game here in the 95th minute as the ball comes to Mahrez, who finds Simpson on the edge of the area. He plays it to Ujoa, who I thought was in a decent enough position to shoot, but the goalkeeper did manage to parry it away, and the game ends in a 1-0 victory for Newcastle. And in all honesty, it was a very difficult game to play. It was incredibly frustrating attempting to break them down because they made every single tackle was just precise, and they just got an unbelievable amount of standing tackles and sliding tackles off of my players before I could even distribute the ball to the wings or towards the centre. And afterwards, as you see there, Richie Delat starts talking to me about speculation, which I guess is part of the new thing that they talked about with storylines in games. But our next game is away from home against Swansea City, and this game was also, I thought that this would be a difficult one because Swansea are a team notorious for passing the ball around, even though they still do it, I guess, just not on the level that they used to. I went for pace in this game. As you can see, Vardy up front, Schlupp at left mid, and Bakayoko in the left back position, who doesn't usually get his game. I think this might be his first ever league game, but look at that for a slide tackle from Boyata. I timed that so well and I'm so proud of it. That kept the ball out of the net, as you see Schmeichel congratulating him on his efforts, but look at the way that he slid there. Had he not slid, that would have been an absolute definite goal, and Boyata keeps us in it early on in the game. But we were a little bit complacent with the possession here in the 22nd minute as the ball comes straight to Wayne Routledge, who plays it to Inan, who finds Gylfi Sigurdsson, who plays it to Boney, whose shot goes just wide. And Routledge is actually a player that I'm going to look at signing in January along with Joel Campbell, just because I feel as though pace is incredibly important in this game. And we don't have much of it on the wings, in all honesty. I'm finding that the wing play that I go through is only ever effective when it's Schlupp. Albrighton is pretty good with the ball at his feet, but he doesn't really have the pace to take it any further than that. And I just think that maybe Routledge or Campbell could add a little bit of an extra dimension there. Maybe Campbell on loan, because I think that's relatively realistic. Arsenal don't really seem too interested in playing him in real life. And there's a lot of speculation about whether or not he'll even make it as an Arsenal player and things of that nature. And I think a loan spell to a lower Premier League club could be a good thing for him. As you see, Tiendali hits the post there in the 55th minute, and then we brought on Dave Nugent in the 77th minute as Swansea brought on John Joe Shelby. We took off Jamie Vardy up front and also Drinkwater. We brought on King for a little bit of extra midfield stability, but Nugent's impact was almost immediate 6 minutes after coming on, as Schlupp gets into a great position. He crosses to Nugent, the ball fools the defender, and Nugent gets into finish with a nice tidy finish as well. That's his 3rd goal in 4 games, which is incredibly important. I spoke in the last episode about striker consistency and how we don't have any of it, but Dave Nugent getting in there to get the goal, which was awesome. And Swansea came and responded immediately with Wilfried Bony having a good shot, and I thought it was initially deflected, but he actually hit it over. And then we come up to the 90th minute with Swansea pressing forward, and as a result of that, Mackay-Steven had all of this space to abuse in the middle of the park, and look at that for a finish from distance from Mackay-Steven. It must have been about 25 yards out. The goalkeeper didn't even move, he just watched it go over his head, and the Scottish midfielder nets his 3rd goal of the season for us, and proves like his importance as a Leicester City player and how good of a signing he was. And I just thought this was an awesome goal. I think it's a slight maybe a glitch or an exploit, because the goalkeeper doesn't move, and that seems a little bit alarming to me. I think there's that spot you can stand in and just shoot, and then the goalkeeper won't be able to do anything about it. But it went into the top right hand side of the net, and it meant that we got a 2-0 victory away from home, our 2nd 2-0 victory away from home, our first one coming against Palace, who we're playing against next in the Capital One Cup. This is the last 16 of the Capital One Cup, and the competition is starting to heat up, and even though we're in a good position to advance to the next round, I had to rest players for fitness reasons here. As you can see, we have a completely different back 4, with Upson captaining the team next to Ante, Simpson and Konchesky in defence, with Matty James and Nick Powell, 2 former United players. I guess Powell is actually a current United player. Ujoa and Wood up front. We did beat Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, but we were using a 4-5-1, and I thought reverting to the 4-4-2 would lead us to more chances up front, because the game that we beat Palace in, they were the better team and they were incredibly difficult to play against, and I just thought maybe a little bit more firepower up top would lead to a slightly more positive reflection on the overall game. And Chris Wood came forward in the 3rd minute, got into a decent position to finesse it, but the ball went over the bar, which is a shame, because had it went in, the goalkeeper wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. But Crystal Palace came forward in the 27th minute, and I thought there was an offside there as the ball was played into Gale, but there wasn't. Now, when I was editing this episode, I paused it and looked at it, and I thought that it was offside, but clearly the game doesn't think so, and Palace took the lead, kind of against the run of play too, but that's just the nature of these games sometimes in the Cup. Then in the 32nd minute, Gale did really well inside the box to play the ball into Zaha, who got tackled, but the ball fell to Punchin inside the box, and he ended up making it 2-0, just 5 minutes after they'd opened the scoring initially, and he went over to shush the Leicester fans, celebrating like a big dickhead. And we go 2-0 down, and we were chasing the game, and this was a bad stage of the game, because Palace are a difficult team to play against. They are very strong defensively, and we were reduced to shots from distance like that James shot that was saved. And then in the 38th minute, Palace came forward again with O'Keefe playing the ball into Zaha, who forced a fantastic save from Kasper Schmeichel in goal. And then just before half time, they got a free kick in which Punchin smashed the ball off the post. Everything was just going wrong for us here. We did get one more chance, and it was another shot from distance, and the reason I left that in there is just to sum up how difficult of a game this was and how difficult a time we had trying to get the ball forward. But a shot from Nick Powell in the 59th minute forced a save from the goalkeeper, and it looked like we were getting somewhere, but then Crystal Palace got a free kick, and Punchin got into a position to score another unbelievable goal, and I just didn't know how this was happening. No one picked them up in the middle, and the game just completely fell apart for us. We've played against Everton, Arsenal and Chelsea so far this season, but this was by far the most difficult game that I've played on FIFA 15, and I don't even understand why. Like, I don't get what it is about Palace, because even when they dominated us at Selhurst Park, we did manage to escape with a victory, and a 2-0 victory nonetheless. But this was just an unbelievable free kick, pinpoint into Punchin, whose finish was absolutely sublime, and nothing Schmeichel could do about that. But in the 75th minute, we still came forward looking for a goal as Mackay-Steven played it into Ujoa, whose dipping header was punched over by the goalkeeper and out for a corner kick, from which nothing came. And sadly, our cup run ended prematurely as we get knocked out in the last 16, and we don't get to see the quarterfinals of the Capital One Cup. And I was so gutted after that result, not just because we were eliminated from the cup, and I think in all honesty, elimination from the cup at this stage will actually serve us well in the long haul, because it'll allow us to adapt to the Premier League season more and preserve fitness in that competition. I was just gutted by the performance and the fact that it was terrible, so hopefully we can improve that for the next episode. Our first game is going to be against West Brom, so hopefully we'll be able to take 3 points from them, and hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. But if you are looking forward to that, or if you are still enjoying this series, please do leave a like on this video. That would be much appreciated. It's really important in the early stages of this game to sort of get the ball rolling and stuff. But obviously we've gotten 1,000 subscribers so far in a week, so that's really good, and thank you guys very much for the support. It is much appreciated. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I've been El Dinero. Thanks for watching.